Hello there.
It's very rare to see a victory like this for anybody, but this story has been going on for quite a while, and it basically assumed shareholders and investors on either side of the fight. Nelson Peltz abandons Disney proxy fight. Now why? Because basically Bob Iger did everything he wanted him to. And the investors that Peltz and Third Option's Dan Loeb have been talking about are being instituted at Disney. So without having Bob Chapek there, he was the one behind all this, getting these changes made. PELTZ wins. This is a victory. This is a victory for people who just want to make money. And Iger had to bend the knee. And actually, let me explain, so does BlackRock. Okay? So does BlackRock. And the reason why is because BlackRock, these shady investors in BlackRock don't want to see ESGs abandoned. They don't want to see their little pet projects torn asunder, but that's what they're getting, okay? That's what's happening with this. So this is huge, I think, for everybody, I think, in the entertainment industry, because if Disney abandons ESG's woke shit out of necessity, because get broke don't, go woke, get broke, is real, then the entertainment will come back to being what we want it to, okay? It's one of those things where even Iger had to admit, allowing the social justice warriors, the people behind Proud Family, Turning Red, The Last Jedi, High Republic, and that stuff, to hang themselves by their own petard was probably the best thing to happen for the Walt Disney Company, because then the rot, the corruption, can be removed from the company. And that's exactly what wokeness is. It's rot and corruption of a huge kind. It is a cancer. It is, my God, it's the opposite of natural humanity. It spreads misery. When you look at young teenage girls who aren't dating, who really don't know how to relate to boys, when they're taught to hate boys, taught to be afraid of them, and Disney's actually pushed that, when they're taught the big lie that women are stronger and more fierce than men. It's one of those things where you're like, Disney perpetuated that with Ray, the Bestest Ivar, okay? They perpetuated that with Admiral Holdo and the other stupidity of characters like Captain Marvel, etc., etc. Okay, so it's very interesting to me now with investors who are like, we'd like our dividends, and we'd like you to start making things families want to see. The person who instituted the woke shit having to go back and get rid of it. And the investors won. Nelson Peltz is the victor here, not Bob Iger. Bob Iger had to bend his knee to him. Okay, so if anybody says Iger won something because a proxy war didn't happen, proxy war did happen. Didn't have to change management for the proxy war to happen and Nelson Peltz to emerge victorious. So, and now Hulu may or may not be on the chopping block, may or may not be for sale. Bob Iger basically says he's open to selling Hulu. Okay, fine. There's no point in keeping them. It'll bring maybe a few $1 billion. Disney desperately needs the money. And it also cuts back on content creation. Again, that $3 billion being hacked from content being produced is vital to remembering what's really going on here. So this is big. Okay, this adds to what I think has been part of what Disney is doing. Now, will we see ESPN on the chopping block to be sold? No. At least not at this point. But do not be surprised to see other pieces of Disney that aren't part of Disney proper, and I'm not talking about Lucasfilm, but that aren't part of Disney proper being sold. I wouldn't even doubt you'd see 20th Century Studios sold. They're not doing anything with it. It's just sitting there gathering rot and dust. So just be ready for more entities like that to be talked about in hushed tones. And again, who's to say Apple isn't interested in grabbing some of these? And also, let's talk about licensing out an IP or selling it, but keeping the connection for the parks. You could actually spin off Lucasfilm to Apple, to Sony, to Paramount, and still retain the parks. Okay, still retain Galaxy's Edge. That would not be a difficult thing to do. Disney would no longer be liable for the cash being spent on Lucasfilm projects. Obviously, there haven't been any Star Wars movies in the hopper since the failure of Solo, the only one being Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And to be honest, I want that movie to be successful because this is Harrison Ford's last time donning the fedora, and he deserves to see a character he loved playing so much to be respected and go out with honor and glory, fortune and glory, kid, all right? Not a failure, all right? And that would just be terrible, and it'd be heartbreaking, I think, for me and for a lot of people. And it would, I think, actually be easier to get rid of Kennedy then, to have her go out on a high note, okay? Because she can't be trusted with Star Wars, all right? And we know that her little allies in the story group are being fired. They're leaving, and it's happening, all right? Bob Iger basically said, without pointing out which entities were going to be looked at hard as layoffs, and these layoffs have been decided months in advance. They have known who's been going months in advance, okay? So we've all got to understand that with a corporation like Disney, it moves at a snail's pace, okay? And these people have been singled out by HR that has been changed up by the Chapek regime to do what they must, okay? Other layoffs that I'd like to see is Reimagine Tomorrow. Have LaTondra Newton just sit in her office, making jewelry. I don't care. But if Hulu's sold, other things may or may not be on the selling list too. We'll have to see. So this has been a good day, I think, for everybody concerned, and it's been an eye-opening day for the entertainment business. And I had to do a video right away about it. So this is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy. Behave, be safe, and don't trip over dogs.
You like me because I'm a scoundrel. There aren't enough scoundrels.